develop this contract with them through, the legal review, and we can put in there the language that we don't agree to a limited sovereign immunity, a limited waiver of our sovereign immunity, and that any disputes be handled in our tribal court system. We can make that part of the contract that's sent to us. So this first one is, what we're voting on is consulting services to put this package together. Is that correct, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, that's correct. I believe so.
Okay, so I would be interested in knowing how much in federal tax credits, energy tax credits, that the tribe would accrue, which I imagine would be, as payment for this project, part of the payment for project. So those are the concerns that I have. Thank you.
Okay, we go on to Ms. Lee, Mr. Brinkspani, Ms. Haskell, Mr. Russo.
For example, I was thinking of Mr. Walters' comments about state court and stuff, and of course I agree with them. For example, when we approved the NDR with Innovatus Solar LLC, in there, the initial agreement, it was any disputes would be resolved in some court in Indiana. So Mr. Van Norman is the attorney for the EDC committee, and we looked it over, and I looked it over and told him that's a problem with 7C. And he agreed and redid it, and I contacted them, and they said that was just their standard language, and they would tailor it to whoever they were working with, and it was no problem for them, and then they did change it to our court. So they were unaware, most likely, that we had a court system, because not everyone does. But we did discuss this in EDC, and we talked about that $650 a month, for example, that rent, and that includes the insurance. But we did talk about tax credits and subsidies. So if someone would be eligible for, like the way Housing Authority does their utility allowance, their UAs, then that would offset some of this rent that they would have to pay, because people look at $650 and they think it's high. It's actually not if you live in the cities, but that includes the insurance. So that saves you about at least $200 a month with that. And then with subsidies, the rent would even be lower than that. But this is our negotiation, our starting point. And I'm glad that I thank the ones that were able to go to Mississippi and tour that housing project down there in Jackson. So thank you.
Mr. Brinkspani.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Tribal Council, executives, general public. Well, first of all, I think because your name's on this agreement, I think there should be, is there a resolution that's been drafted for this? And the legal review that has been done? Just with the contract checklist, but just for the representatives that don't know about, what's taking place with this development group, are able to make a conscious, decision. As far as the procurement process, Mr. Treasurer, is this, is that common practice just to? Okay. So can we table this until you can get like a resolution and a legal for it, so we can move forward with it? I think it's a good move. I think we're heading in the right direction as far as providing homes, but it's just the process, and there's some concerns that have been brought up, and I think those concerns are huge when it comes to the tribe and the state. We can't overlook that. This is a good thing, but we just need to make sure our ducks are in a row before we move forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brinkspani. And we definitely need more legal work, and the resolution, like you said, and this agreement is just kind of a simple agreement, but it doesn't contain the kind of the dispute resolution stuff language, and we'd have to have legal also add those changes, and also another one was the due diligence part of it. We'd have to have due diligence be done on this contractor as well. But yeah, we're definitely have those things in mind, and wanted to pursue those if council wanted to proceed with this this contractor. We've got Ms. Haskell next and Mr. Russo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just wondering if the motion maker would amend to approve pending legal. Mr. Russo? Mr. Russo?
Chairman, does that need to be amended?
That's fine, yeah.
Thank you.
I know, I don't know if, I know this is just step one, or, you know, the long process we have ahead of us. And I know we just, we made some decisions to pay out that ARPA money, took it out of the housing assistance and put it into that payout. And then we see, like I mentioned, our relatives down at the Hunkpati, Oyate, and they're breaking ground on 52 homes. And I know these processes are long and dueling, but they're necessary. So I could amend the motion, but we also have action from District 6 to do a similar project, and I'm a little concerned that, and so here's the thing with this project is they're when they came here and sat in this conference room, and they had a little presentation, and then we went and toured the Badger Park communities and went in a couple of them houses. And these guys were, you know, they're looking around and looking at what we have, and they really are interested in building these homes. And yeah, there's a lot of, why don't we do an automatic allocation, $700-800 a month in mortgage payments? That we could have a TECHA grant set up where these loan payments are subsidized, so the tribe pays it back, the majority, 90% of the mortgage payment, and the consumer, our tribal members, only have to pay back a small piece, you know, $75 a month, $100 a month. And then we don't have to worry about, you know, all these others. Of course, there's going to be situations, financial hardships, deaths, etc. So, you know, these are things that we can work on, but this isn't where we work on it. This is very far away from that part, and we need to move so we can get closer to where we need to be. And I've watched these projects. I was on the Buffalo board when they bought the West Side Meats, and we didn't, you know, if we would have did this, we still wouldn't have bought West Side Meats. Same with GTC, that CarQuest company. I was on the board there. We didn't do none of that legal, you know, all that stuff does. And yes, I am concerned about tribal sovereignty. I went to law school to study it, and I'm well versed in it, and I understand it. But this isn't where we talk about tribal sovereignty. This is step one. But I do have a question. Do you need me to amend my motion to what, pending legal, or include legal?
Yeah, include the legal. Yep.
So amended. Before I amend it though, so what about District 6 and the action we took? Can we include District 6 in this too? I know do the 150 to 175 homes, but also to do 60 homes in District 6. And I think that number is up to 80 now since we started this. So I would like to include District 6 as well. So we have actions that already council actions to do this stuff.
I think that's the 100 to 150 homes. I think there's other areas across the reservation that would be included in that. So that could include your district, or
could I amend it to include the additional 60 homes for District 6? So amend it to include those additional homes for District 6 and to pending legal. That'd be my amendments.
I think again, I think this is just for throughout the reservation, not just for Eagle Butte. It's the other reservation communities as well. The thing that we're going to run into is the water and sewer lines, and hopefully access to that. So but this project will help address some of that as well. So the areas targeted would be out next to there. So that was one of the ideas, was to use that land for this, and you're not going to fit 100 homes on it. It'll probably be more like 50 or so there's going to be other opportunities if this passes to create housing throughout the reservation, not just in Eagle Butte. So I think we're covered already, Mr. Russo. I don't think you need to add that yet to the action.
So just amend it to include legal?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll amend it to include legal, but I do want to, so where did you find this consulting firm at? Is this just that one from Mississippi? The same one?
That's the same one, yep.
So we still need to find that consulting firm for the District 6 action we took. I'm still having a hard time finding them. We took action to find the financer and the developer, but since I've been calling around, it's a consultant that we need to find as well. So I'll just follow up with the Attorney General. I got that council action already. So this motion is going to be to approve pending legal. That's the motion. Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask Mr. Treasurer?
Oh, yeah, he made changes to his motion. He wanted to add the legal and the legal reviews, and that would also include a due diligence. So that would, second still there. Go ahead, Mrs. Whitewell.
Thank you. I'd like to ask Mr. Treasurer a question. Did I hear you right when you stated that it didn't follow the procurement manual for the procurement process?
It hasn't, but they could do a sole source justification or whatever through legal and get it done the correct way. I don't know if they've contacted other development sources, so
Aside from that,
so they could do that with that legal review.
okay, aside from that though, what's the normal process, or should we, Mr. Treasurer?
You're aware of it. It's 3 bids when it's over a certain amount, and that's what the process has always been.
Okay, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought, did council agree, or was this before this last election, that we were gonna, when we were gonna do these types of things, we were gonna have a contract checklist present before we did it, a resolution, a legal review, all that stuff signed off? Regardless, it's over $5,000. So that's what I was just asking, because, you know, I don't want to be the bad guy, you know what I mean? But I just want to make sure that what we're following, you know, our procedures. I thought that's what we were going to do, you know, so we don't do that anymore then, right? Just whenever we want to present something, we just bring it and present it, then we have no way of, no protocol or anything anymore? Is that correct?
Well, we approached the budget committee for the funding, so that's why I went to budget.
And usually the procedure is the budget chairman works.
And they didn't act, and
Get all that
they just
stuff.
referred it here. So
Okay, thank you.
got Mr. Kessler and Mr. Walters, Ms. Haskell.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to take the opportunity to correct the record. My colleague, Representative Russo, stated that he was on the Buffalo Authority when we purchased the West Side Meats, and that's not correct. He since has joined the board and been involved with future activities. So just for correction for the record, thank you.
Mr. Walters.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There will be a contract checklist as soon as we enter into a contract. Before we enter into a contract, because, and just like Mr. Treasurer said, we can do it sole source. We just need a sole source justification letter. And then when we enter into a contract, then we go through the contract checklist before anything is signed off on. And so there will be a contract checklist, Mr. Chairman, when we enter into a contract. Thank you.
Ms. Haskell?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Whitebolt, when this was presented to us at budget, it was presented to us to see if there was money available for it. Once we decided there was money available for it, it was then referred to council floor to discuss if we were going to move forward with it as a whole or if we were going to end it there. So there was no, this was for discussion. And at the meeting, Mr. Walters said we should include all of council in on the discussion, so it was referred here. So at the time, none of that stuff was needed because we didn't know if we were going to move forward with it or not. So that's why there's no documentation supporting that. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This question is for Treasurer Keckler. This question is for Treasurer Keckler. Where is the $45,000 coming from? Because once we sign this agreement, or we authorize this agreement, then we put out $45,000.
It's available to come from infrastructure fund that was awarded to the tribe this past summer. We received 2 awards. One amount of $3 million in May, and the second one amount of $3 million in September. And they can be used for any of these purposes.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments, council members? Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Bryce Underwoods, absent Steve Moran.
Yes.
Ted Knight Jr., absent John Kessler.
Yes.
Kenrick DePreez, Sharon Lee.
Yes.
Mary Miller. No. Kelsey Haskell.
Yes.
Thad Rose.
Yes.
Derek Bartlett.
Yes.
Francine Hall.
Yes.
Joel Brinksplenny. Bob Walters. Ronald Russo. Tuffy Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
11 yes, 1 no, 1 abstain, 2 absent, motion carries. Ms. Haskell?
Mr. Chairman, the only motion after that was by, I believe, Mr. Kessler to adjourn. Let me check that information. Motion by Mr. Kessler, second by Mrs. Lee to adjourn. There was 8 yes, 0 no. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's it for budget. I'm caught up.
Okay. 1 down, 14 to go. Council, I don't see the claims minutes here. I've asked for them to bring up some more copies. I think last time we got like the attachments. We didn't get the actual minutes, so they'll be bringing those up. So I think we can go on to these next set of minutes here. Economic development. Ms. Lee, go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman LeBeau. The Economic Development Committee met on November 27th, 2023. Members present, Sharon Lee, Chair. Ted Knight Jr., John Kessler, Kenrick Dupree. Excused, Thad Rose, Mary Miller Whipple. Absent, Bryce Underwoods, Joseph Brinksplenny, Ronald Russo, Steve Moran. Meeting was called to order at 9:45 a.m. In attendance, Candace LeBeau, Planning Department, Cody Hyatt, Credit Office, J.D. Williams, Credco, Luke Peterson, Credco Propane Manager, Vern Robertson, Consultant, Chloe Gunville, Legislative Assistant. The monthly reports were given. Candace LeBeau gave a report for the Planning Office. She discussed the EDA partnership. So you can see that her report is attached to the minutes. Touch the Cloud update. Discuss concerns about the school foot traffic. Techa update for her office. Infrastructure up and going. We discussed an economist. This is with the planning department. Data research management contract, economic analysis. And Candace, Ms. LeBeau has been working on that. The hardware installation is complete. The business enhancement signage project, it was relocated to in front of the old GTC where the new West Side Meats will be here in Eagle Butte. And we received approval from the Buffalo board to put it there. So it was put there, and you'll see that sign up now on the northeast corner. Federal certification and grant site management. This is ongoing. And there is a SAM registration renewal validation. It's a new validation, and it was accepted on behalf of the tribe on October 23rd, 2023. It's a new system that's in place that replaces the old SAM registration for when grants are renewed and submitted and things of that nature. Ms. LeBeau is working on a Lakota language fluency survey. That's an ongoing project right now. Luke Peterson is the propane manager at Cheyenne River Gas. And he did ask about the process for people that call after 5 weekends and things like that. So there was a email sent out to everyone, I think from the chairman's office, on who to call and for propane on after hours. I believe that was sent out a few weeks ago, so we've got that. And they do want people to, if they can, and I know the res runners help too, to see what percentage of propane they're on. I know some elderly can't get out and check their tanks, so they help with that. And there was a question on how long the res runners will be working. Is there, they'll be working for a while, won't they, Mr. LeBeau? I guess that was just a question at the meeting.
Just to answer, I believe their funding runs out in next month in January. However, I talked to the treasurer about that, and he was gonna look at getting some more funds in their account to extend them further into the new year.
Okay, thank you. There was just a general discussion about propane and networking together and just helping people through the winter with checking their tanks and working with housing authority and things of that nature. Mr. Williams provided a Chartray update. It was for 150 low-income homes. And he's the one that's been the contact person with Dave Kelly, so he's been really instrumental in helping to keep this going. We just got through discussing the Chartray so in depth, so I'll kind of skip over that. There was 2 U.S. Treasury grants. There was an update. The main grant, $4,937,944, and the technical grant, $414,424. Credit on November 3rd, 2023. There was a discussion on that, and he will provide another update with that as the process moves along. He addressed the motel, Cheyenne River Motel policy update. He stated there was 4 rooms available at this time for people that are displaced. He said it is flexible too. There is a do not rent list that's updated monthly, and I believe that was emailed out to us. So I asked him to provide a copy to everyone and to Mr. Bartlett, because he chairs the Human Services Committee. There was a Credco gaming update where he's scheduling a second gaming commission session because we need to be trained as the gaming commission, the temporary gaming commission, and that hasn't been set up. It most likely would be in January, and then we need to have one more. That land around the Fort Pier is known as a Tin Cup land was discussed. And NIGC, of course, certifies. Vern Robertson has come on board, and he works closely with Chairman's office and with Mr. Williams. He reports also to the EDC committee. Cody Heil was present with the Tribal Credit Office report. And there was a resolution she was waiting on, Attorney General, on some of her clients that had paid off their loans. Mark Van Norman was researching this issue previously, and she's getting release of information from 24 clients at this time. That has to be in place first. And there was a resolution, I think the one that we were waiting on. I just need to find that resolution here in the packet. A lot of attachments here. I don't. I don't see the resolution in here. Maybe it's just mine that doesn't have one. Okay. There is a resolution attached. I don't have one in my packet, but Mr. Rose has one. And this was a motion by Representative Knife, second by Representative Kessler, to approve the resolution from the Tribal Credit Department pending legal review. And I'll go ahead and read it into the record. I'll skip the first two whereases. Whereas the Loan Guarantee Program was established by the Indian Financing Act of 1974 to stimulate and increase Indian entrepreneurship and employment through establishment, acquisition, or expansion of Indian-owned economic enterprises. The loan purpose may be made to finance Indian-owned businesses organized for profit, provided that eligible Indian ownership constitutes no less than 51% of the business. Whereas the borrower must be a federally recognized tribe of Alaska Native group or Alaska Native group, member of such tribe or group in an Indian-owned organization. The borrower must have 20% equity in either cash and or unencumbered assets to be used in the business being financed is required. The business must be located on or near a reservation or recognized service area and contribute to the economy of the reservation. The borrower may not be delinquent on any federal financial obligation. The borrower may not obtain a loan if there is any outstanding unresolved federal debts. Whereas the Tribal Credit Department requesting to write off 6 clients in the request for probate in the amount of $461,343.62 and 24 clients sent to U.S. Treasury in the amount of $3,026,224.56. Payment last received 1956 through 2006, and these loans are over 36 years old now. Therefore, be it resolved that the Cheyenne River Sioux Tribal Council does hereby approve to write off debts to the following individuals, and then be it finally resolved, and then the disclaimer. So that'll be my motion pending legal.
Second. Discussion.
Okay, we got a motion by Ms. Lee with resolution to write off debts. Second by Mr. Russo. You got a comment? Go ahead.
Yes, Chairman. Thank you. It's a good motion, good resolution. I'm kind of curious who the 6 borrowers are. It refers to the 6 borrowers in both the committee action and in the resolution, but there's no names.
The 6 ones that were for the probate ones, the probate, yeah. And it was referred to legal. I don't know who they are. And I don't have the full information in my packet.
Thank you, Chairman. I really, like I said, I really do like the resolution. I think that we need to have the names, the amounts, and then if this is going to be something that we need to, I'm glad this is the kind of thinking that we're moving forward with. We see a lot of this isn't just one type of loan that you can get a loan guarantee. It's really hard to even find a bank that will do a loan guarantee. But, and then most of these loan guarantees, the bank you do find, they just offer very, very small amounts. So it's something that, I'm glad to see coming from the Economic Development Committee. And these are the type of actions we need to take. But I'd like to see this resolution needs to have who's, how much, and then that's what I'd like to see. I'm not sure why it's not in there now. I read the letter attached to the front from the tax credit office. Can we do amend the motion pending amendments?
Mr. Chairman, I think you can do an addendum to the resolution and just list the names, but refer to it as, individuals in the addendum. Thank you.
Ms. Lee, do you
I
want to?
can amend my motion to pending addendum, because I believe we didn't have the information because she couldn't give out the names at that time. And then it was going to legal first to be sure we was doing it right.
Okay, we got a motion and it's been amended to include the addendum.
Listing the, yeah.
Are you gonna still remain the second, Mr. Russo? I got Ms. White-Bull, and then I'll come back to you.
I'd like to know.
Thank you. So this debt is, according to the resolution, these loans, okay, so we have 6 individuals, request for probate in the amount of $461,343.62, and 24 clients in the amount of $3,026,224.56. These loans are over 36 years old. This will, of course, be in the tribes format.
Yes.
And did legal draft this?
No, I believe Cody drafted it. But we could just have her come in and exec and tell us who they are too. I mean, we could do that.
Mr. Chairman, I think in previous years, when we've passed resolutions like this, we've included the names and the amount. This is a legal document and it's history, so. But I do support it. I just think we should have the names. I think we should have the amount. The people would like to know. It's the people's meeting.
Yeah.
It's for public record. Once
Right.
we pay that, it should be in there, but I'll support it.
That has to be included too with the legal, the names and everything too. But this was she just drafted this and was waiting for legal to make sure she was doing it the right way. But I know she's on travel today. She had to take a grandchild to a doctor's appointment out of town, so she's not in her office today.
And I apologize, Mr. Chairman, that I wasn't present at the Economic Development Committee meeting yesterday due to illness, but did she give a history of these loans and why these loans were made to the economic development?
Well, they
Could that
were,
be shared to council?
Well, they're loans, when you apply through the credit department, you're applying for, there's other loans, but a lot of them are ag loans. And they were years and years, applied years ago. And these are with BIA.
Okay.
Excuse me, with the amendment will be the addendum. And that would have the listing of all the names of the 6 probates, because these probates are people that passed away and their probates are already closed out and, things like that. And maybe they didn't have any money to, their estate didn't have any money to pay, anything, so. Right. Okay.
Yeah,
Motion with the addendum, and there's a second.
Okay, we got another comment from Mr. Russo.
Thank you. So I'm kind of curious why, there's the 6 clients, but there's 24 that were sent to U.S. Treasury. We just had a global economic collapse that hit the economy, and there's a lot of struggling entrepreneurs and ranchers and agriculturalists that are going to continue to endure the economical harm that they faced, and they'll be unable to go through the hardships. They're most likely a lot more members that are going to be in, if not already going to be in default. And so I'd like to see, these efforts continue. Why are we limited it to the request for probate, or the probate individuals that have left us? And then are there any plans in the Economic Development Committee to develop protocol because I know we met with the OTCAGA, or with Senator Rounds, Governor Rounds, Senator Rounds, and that was his idea when we mentioned the OTCAGA crisis that was ongoing. Is his idea was to write it off, and that's what I was hoping that the council would have done that instead of doing the intermediate board or whatever, and trying to act as OTCAGA. And because we have the authority to do this as a government body to recognize these hardships, these economical hardships, we have the ability to have our own bank, and we don't do that. So but whenever we have to deal with these other banks and the other programs, and then we all recognize these hardships. So I'd like to see. I'm going to support this resolution, but I'd like to see more efforts from the Economic Community Development Committee to continue to build and empower these programs. So when our entrepreneurs and our agriculturalists and such run into the financial hardships, especially under the type of conditions that were created during the COVID-19 global economic collapse, that we don't wait until they're dead. We don't wait for 36 years or et cetera. As soon as they're in default, we recognize the hardship and then help them at that point, or maybe even a step further. So thank you very much, Representative Lee, for bringing this to the council, and I look forward to more positive stuff coming from your committee. Thank you.
Okay, we got a motion and a second with amendments. Madam Secretary, please call for the vote.
Bryce Inwood, absent Steve Moran.
Yes.
Ken Ike Jr., absent John Kessler.
Yes.
Henry Dupree. Darren Lee.
Yes.
Mary Miller. Yes. Kelsey Haskell.
Yes.
Rose.
Yes.
Chris Porter.
Yes.
Franklin Hall.
Yes.
Bill Brinkman. Bob Walters. Ron Russo. Kobe Thompson. Yes.
13 yes, 0 no, 0 abstain, 2 absent, motion carries. And lunch is coming. The staff is still cooking, I guess, so they'll be here shortly. So don't need to take off for lunch today. So Ms. Lee, please continue.
Thank you. Next is Tatini C-Store update. We've been discussing ways to keep the store open. There's been a lot of theft there, and people have been breaking in because it's such a rural area, and if you call the police, they have to come from Eagle Butte. So it's, there's just been ongoing issues there with the store and with the break-ins and other things. No motions with that. Vern Robertson is on contract with the tribe right now. He's working on some economic development ventures. We've been discussing the casino at Fort Pierre and looking at a site that is was previously deemed the best site for a casino on our land there. And bingo, that was given to Credco to start the bingo back up, and we're working on some options with that right now. Right now, the bingo building's been used for everything but bingo, and I know in our discussion yesterday at EDC, Mr. Williams felt that maybe we should just get a different building for the bingo, because right now then it would take away from a place where wakes could be held and meetings, and it's gonna cost quite a bit. Right now, Mr. Robertson is getting an estimate on what it'll cost to fix that. I guess there's 2 walls that there's issues with. There's been damage to, with the high winds, 2 walls. And there's some other electrical issues now because of mice, and there's just issues with that bingo hall. So we discussed that anyway, and that's something that's being worked on. And these are some of the things that Mr. Robertson is working on: a health and wellness center, bottled water company, cannabis company, a national bank, agriculture company, Department of Defense, and 8A company. That's for contracts, DOD contracts. So we did discuss some of those. He wanted to set up a meeting during L&I, but there were so many meetings going on with Porch Creek that that meeting didn't happen. And after that, there was a motion to adjourn. And that was it for the meeting of November 27th.
Thank you. Ms. Lee, did you have any more minutes to present to tribal council at this time?
No, I don't. The Tarot Commission, the day that the meeting was supposed to be held was Mr. Widow's services that day, so we didn't have a meeting. And the Credco board will be meeting, I think after Christmas. I don't have a date, time yet.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Mr. Bringsmoney?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that in District 5, some of our members have been asking about the day labor. And I know that they had that working through the ARPA, and it was pretty good. It helped some of the individuals. Do we possibly refer something like that idea to Credco, see if we can get something developed for day labor for our members?
I believe that, I know Karen Duchno with Tribal Ventures was in charge of the day labor, but I'm not sure where that's at right now, or if she's still doing it, or if they kind of closed down during the pandemic. And I'm not sure what the status is. That Chairman LeBeau, could you find out what the status of the day labor is, if they're still going to do that, or the funding? And
I believe the money they had for it ran out, so they would just need the funds to have that program up and running. They're totally able and willing to do it. They just need the funds, I believe. Currently, I just got a call on this morning, and they're just operating off of a contract for services that they took up with Native Bio. So but they're able to reignite that fire once they have the funding for it. So I can get some more information and then get it out to the council or to the committee on what it would take to get that going again.
okay, thank you.
We got hands from Mr. Moran and Mr. Bartlett, Ms. Hall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to back on a TITRA update in this meeting. I'm excited that we're looking towards getting an economist on board It's something much needed, I think, over the years. As we know, what happens around the world affects us. What happens in the United States as far as economies go affects us here. Just as an example, Ukraine, they export a lot of wheat. And because of that conflict there, if somebody asks you the price of bread, for instance, that points to that. But an economist, maybe, I don't know how that's going to happen, but I hope we can do that quickly, because it could affect or enhance our ability to make decisions on our priorities as far as economy goes and where we're at. Because I never heard that before. Where are we in our economy? Or do we have one? You know, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
Mr. Bartlett?
Chairman, I yield. Ms. Hall.
Ms. Hall?
I just wanted to remind council that in our last council session, we approved that all of the carryover monies from the Tetra grants that haven't been spent, that we 20 passed a motion that all be pulled back so that we can reallocate those monies. And I did contact Holly Annis up at the office and told her, don't accept any more modifications, because we took that action. And so she said, okay. So I said, Secretary Whitefeather will be following up with a memo to you. But I just want you to be aware that that's the action council took. So, you know, funding, again, the day labor program, that, you know, we've got a lot of young men that, and I found this out, you know, when we did our remodel, the work that we did on the exterior of our house, we used local guys. And, you know, we went to the shelters and we got laborers to help us. And so now, you know, we pull up at the shelter with, like we give shirts or, you know, different things. You have jobs for us, you know, you have work for us. So I know we've got, you know, labor out there that's willing to work. So that day labor, Mr. Brings Plenty, I think would be something that we could use these additional Tetra dollars to fund. So thank you.
Okay, is there any other comments on the economic development report? Mr. Kessler, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We did have a resolution that was needing to be presented, and hopefully we can have time to do that. It's coming through the EDC minutes from yesterday, but I think it's important. It's considered the tribe's special contractor tax, which is a 1% tax, which would draw a lot more revenue into the CREDCO operation so that they could help offset some of these costs with these businesses that are struggling. So if sometime throughout our session, if we could put it on the floor, we would appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, that reminds me, there's also the 1% environmental fee tax, or fee, I guess, for the landfill. I believe that needs to be voted on as well. It's going to have those papers as well. So yes, sir, we can definitely do that this session. Let's see, if you want to bring those papers in, the resolution, or if, okay, good. So council, I think we, next we can go on to the, if you want to make copies for everyone, Mr. Kessler, or give it to Dean and he can get it to the staff. They can make some copies for everyone. I think we can go on to education, but before we do, the staff brought lunch, and we'll ask for a prayer, meal blessing from Mr. Moran, and then we can all make a plate. Elders first, and then thereafter everyone else can eat, and then we can just kind of keep continuing to work on this once everyone has a plate. So go ahead, Mr. Moran. Thank you. For a brief lunch, so everyone get a plate, and then we'll just keep on going. We'll take probably about 15 minutes though to do all that. So don't take off.